Hi, hello and welcome to our today's webinar, Revenue Sharing Without Headache. Today, we want to show you a new approach for multi-party billing, which is especially relevant for the billing with several partners and companies like affiliates and subsidiaries. And the approach is especially meant for reducing complexity and enabling scalability and growth. And for the next 30 minutes, I've brought an expert on board from our team, Daniel Hofmeister, also lovely called Hoff in our other team. So Hoff is one of our technical product managers, and he will guide you through the topic of multi-party billing, our approach for scalability. And if you have any questions after we have shown you our approach, we have a Q&A session, but you can post at any time the questions in our question sections, which you find just right next to the chat button. The questions are just visible to us, so nobody will see the questions. We will then tackle those questions right after we have shown the topics. So let's start it, kicking it off. And Hoff, it's a pleasure to have you on board. And
thanks so much for inviting me.
And then, dive into the topic. And the first topic is, let's talk about the general approach of multi-party billing. Multi-party is not a new topic, but what is in general the topic of multi-party billing, especially when it comes to digital business models?
Yeah, I mean, one of the challenges we see arise more and more, especially with the landscape becoming more and more complex also how many partners are needed, for example, to fulfill the customer wishes. We've noticed an uptick basically in a problem with how to deal with the partners itself. We've brought a few slides to make it more understandable. So I will lead you through the presentation. Just to give a rough understanding on where we are right now, oftentimes in the landscape, and where we are going to go. So in a traditional flow, and we refer to this entire process as self-billing, right? The inverse in the end of the invoices. In a traditional flow, you have here a rough idea, right? So that you have your business, that's you in the middle. You will issue an invoice to the customer, for example, and then the partner that maybe fulfills some sales obligations, for example, is the sales partner for the customer, or is the manufacturer, or your parent companies. There are many examples. Will then issue an invoice to your business. We will get later into what's problematic with this approach, but our solution in the end will be to basically inverse the relationship between you and the partner. So instead of the partner issuing invoices to you, you as a business will issue the self-billing invoice to your partner. A self-billing invoice is basically a credit document, which in all other respects is like an invoice. So, and how can this then basically be embedded in a more complex scenario we want to show you? So basically, let's say that in the process that you as a business have a sales partner, for example. And if you want to then engage in the self-billing process, you would then go ahead, then sign a contract basically with the partner for a certain commission for a product. So basically, if you are selling, for example, car entertainment systems, you would then go ahead and say maybe for this 10 euro entertainment system, you will invoice to your customer 8 euros. I mean, that's maybe a bit much, but maybe just €1 you will then issue to your sales partner. Maybe in order to enable this, you will also need a manufacturer so you would also then go ahead and sign a contract with the manufacturer, for example, for a commission to roll out these car entertainment systems. This can be a commission. This can also be other things, right? Other services that might be provided. You might also, in this way, basically buy the products from the manufacturer even.
So basically, it's all relevant in terms of a platform economy or a marketplace or something like that,
indeed,
where you have a kind of a staged or a networked value chain.
Yeah, exactly. It's not only marketplaces, but there it becomes definitely also relevant. But even with very complex digital business models, right? We see it in electric charging, for example, right? Where you then basically have the CPOs, the charge point operators, who are kind of responsible for the charge point thing. And we can do an entire webinar for how electric charging can be invoiced. Yeah. Exactly, and then in the end, so basically, we had now set up the contracts with our suppliers, with our partners. Next, of course, will then be the customer. The customer has an interest in the product that we are offering, and he will probably then contact the sales partner and say, "Hey, please sell it to me." The sales partner will then make the referring to your business, because it will be your business executing it in the end, which will let you to sign a contract with the customer, for the customer then to buy in the end the product, for example, automobile entertainment system. After that, if it's, for example, a subscription, you would then go ahead and start issuing invoices to the customer for the contract, of course, that you've just signed. So, for example, 10 euros per month. And in addition to that, you would then also start issuing self-billing invoices or credit notes to a sales partner, for example, and also issuing the same kind of documents to your manufacturer. So you basically invite them to participate in the revenue you gained from the customer, which of course should be less than what you are selling your customer to, the total amount of the credit documents. So this is just to give a rough idea on how this, on how basically invoice this document flow. So it's no longer the sales partner that will issue invoices, no longer the manufacturer that will issue invoices, but you control basically how these documents, for example, look. You can easily integrate it into your billing system, which makes it easier to automate, have it more transparent, and so on and so forth.
So basically, in my understanding, so what the process principle is that we change basically the way the partner is receiving the money from an invoice-based process to a credit note process.
Exactly.
So that means we also reduce the complexity in terms of incoming invoice checks and the manual effort and the accounting and booking through that approach. And that is a special topic when it comes especially to digital business model, where we have high transactions, or the topic. Is that most relevant there, or what is?
Yeah. This is of course one of the aspects that brings in the complexity, right? In the traditional business models, where you just went and sold a product one time, and then you only had to issue a commission one time, so this could still be kind of manually handled. The moment, of course, you then start dealing in subscriptions, where you then issue the invoices monthly, and then maybe your parent company wants to also receive their share monthly, then it will get a lot trickier with these monthly, with these manual processes in the end. So automation is key here to basically keep the bags free of your accounting department, if you like.
Right.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, and now understood. So now we are talking about this way of billing the partners in the ecosystem, but what is the role of NitroBox then, and what do we now do better in terms of? I promised a scalable approach, right? So what is now the approach that we bring on the table?
Well, the thing that NitroBox does is, of course, everything. I mean, you can't ask me such a question about a product I'm responsible for and expect a less enthusiastic answer, I suppose.
Right.
No, we basically made it our mission to simplify this exact process, to basically give it all, or lay it all into the hands of you, the business, the enterprise customer of ours, to make it easy to scale. Be it in the number of transactions, because you have many customers, or be it because you want to add additional partners into your process, right? So we earlier talked about, if you had basically one partner, it would manually, maybe if it is a one-time thing, that's kind of how it's being done historically. If you have monthly invoices and 3 partners, then it becomes really, really tricky. Double that if the partner is the one issuing the invoices, because then you have to basically verify these invoices. Does it make sense? It will come in many different formats. So this is almost always a manual process, which makes it very expensive.
Yeah. Understood. So that means basically it is also a topic of scalability in terms of not only automate a process, but also it is a scalability for the resources in finance and accounting, that we free up the resources and for more, let's say, value-added processes and works and tasks.
And it's actually, I mean, just from projects, we get to know a lot, of course, about the accounting departments of our customers. And we've noticed that's actually a huge bottleneck. And not just when it comes into the accounting, to monthly closings and yearly closings and so on, but even to enable new business models. I mean, more than once we had project delays because the accounting department did not have the time to verify the requirements and give their go-ahead, because they were so busy with the yearly closing and all the day-to-day operations. So lightening the loads of these day-to-day operations enables them then to work onto your, with your core business and your monetization.
And before we come to the demo and then show, let's say, a little bit of the process, what do you say is this approach of multi-party billing relevant for a specific type of digital business economy, or are there special situation and models where this applies the most?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned earlier the marketplace models, of course, where you have then a very complex slew of different partners, for example. There we would need to consider it. In general, we also notice it just with big enterprise customers, right? Because they have the largest complexity overall in their billing structures. And they are also the ones, I mean, it's kind of ironic, but actually when it comes to monetization, personally, I have the feeling that there's actually enterprise customers that try to innovate more, that try out more. While smaller companies maybe go more for the tried and true method. They don't want to that much deal with it. They want to start growing the business, basically. And of course, the section general of digital business models, right? So analog is difficult because you would need to digitize it first, so we can gain the data, so we can automate it, everything. But the moment you are dealing with digital businesses, then that's where that can.
Okay, but that applies also to businesses that deal with international expansion, right? Because when we come to the sort of partner billing, then we are talking about taxation and in different regions, right? So this is another topic where we have the topic of not only commission, but also the tax, right?
Indeed. I mean, this is kind of a tricky thing that your business will need to deal with anyway, right? So if you're dealing with it just for the first time for multi-party billing, that's probably too late. You would have to deal with it already when you enable these kinds of business models in different countries, in different for different products and so on and so forth. But of course, the advantage of, for example, using Nitrobox is that we already have this capability, right? So we can handle it for your invoices and then also, of course, for the credit notes. And many of the customers that we've noticed, they basically have then two different systems for it, right? They have one kind of trying to manage the incoming invoices, and then they need to be aware of the legislation there or the regulations for it. And then they have their outgoing, and then they need to reconcile it, and it's a lot more difficult than having it all originating from the same system, basically.
Yeah. Good, very good. Thank you very much. Before we come to the demo, one final question from my side.
Yes, please.
You're in the market quite a long time, and what do you think, from your expertise and in your opinion, what is the trend? How does the digital business models evolve in the next couple of years?
Yeah. Well, it will get more complex, right? We, of course, had to push to the subscription economy, which I believe most people will be aware. But there's now also more and more a push to a usage-based economy, right? So not only 10 euros per month, but actually being billed per kilowatt hour charge, per minute parked, per API call made, whatever, right? So basically the costs that the customers cause your business should then also be reflected in what will be invoiced to them. Which then, of course, increase the transactions, right? So if you have a flat rate of 10 euros per month, that's once per month, that's so easy or easier than going ahead and saying, okay, but every day he will get cost-free usages because, for example, for our car entertainment system, each movie watched will cost 50 cents or 10 cents or whatever. Then the number of transactions will rise. The things that you need to build to your partners will rise. And if you don't have an automated solution, then you will go ahead and say, oh, we can't actually monetize it in this way because we cannot handle the billing and the accounting associated with it.
So that means, in your opinion, the business model will need to adapt more smaller invoice items that are built in terms of it gets more granular, it gets more complex by that, and also then in the downstream process, much more higher needs to automate. Right.
Exactly. So this is basically the fragmentation, and oftentimes you will even have more than one of kinds. Right? You will have you might have a setup fee and a subscription and a usage-based component, right? And then you have some systems that are very well just with the subscription portion, or that are just very good with the one-time thing, right? We try to. This is basically our vision, if you like, right? Enabling complex business models so that you can actually all the speed that I've mentioned and more, and different pricings and so on and so forth, which it all needs to be reflected again with the partners. And this is basically where a bit why you basically notice that this is an area to focus on.
Right. Okay. Good. Then I think let's jump directly into a more practical use case.
Yeah. Okay, then I hope my screen is sharing again perfectly. Before I actually jump into our product, especially we have a few people, and I think more of a few people that actually don't know our product yet. So I figured I would give some additional information about how we configure products and so on. So right here we have basically two sides. One side will be configured towards the customer and one side towards the partner. So just going from top to bottom for now for the customer, we have options in our system which are kind of like the products that will be offered, right? In this case, for example, a 10-euro entertainment system that will be billed monthly. Or rather than €10 per month. Then we have the plan level, which is basically other terms we've seen in the market are like a bundle. In German, you would say a Tarif, which basically bundles different products that will be offered within one package, which might then also contain add-ons and everything. And here you also configure how it is built, right? Simple, monthly, daily, quarterly, whatever. And then lastly, we have a contract, which is then actually combines this offered plan together with the actual person and actual instance that will then actually be built to a certain person, for example, here, John Smith, who then started his contract on the 20th of May, for example. On the other end, we have then the partner. Here we also receive an option, right? Basically configuring, okay, dear partner, you will get €8 commission per month per entertainment system that you helped sell, for example. Right. At this point, we also then make a first connection between these different products. Right. We first have then the partner option is being linked basically for the customer option. Okay. Then this partner has a differently configured plan because maybe you want to bill your customers monthly, but the partner should get daily his credit note, for example, or his self-billing invoice. And lastly, you also know, of course, the concrete instance, the sales partner, because you could also say, I have many different sales partners that are all, however, in the same framework with the same plan configuration and so on. And then here, the second connection is made because, as I mentioned, it could be different sales partners, right? But each customer, for example, likely only has one sales partner associated with this contract. So only this one sales partner will get the self-billing invoice. This is basically where we do then the second connection. We basically relate the contracts of those two entities.
Okay.
I hope this was
pretty clear.
Yeah. I hope for more people for people that don't spend 8 hours a day thinking about this. Okay, let me go ahead and quickly log into our webinar, to our web portal. There we go. Okay, so first of all, I've created, this is a completely fresh tenant. The only thing that I've configured so far, so basically you can see most that I'm showing you is working out of the box, right? It does not require a lot of configuration. We will find here, first of all, I noticed I've German language enabled. Give me a second to switch to English, so our dear English audience has an easier time to follow. Basically here I have a few customers that I've already created. We basically have a Müller, this will be our end customer. And in this case, I've set up already two B2B partners that we can use later. My demo will only then involve one because 10 minutes is a very short time. Just FYI, anyone who's interested, we are more than happy to dive deeper if you have some specific problems or questions down the line as well. We have the customer setup. I have in our product management portion also a customer plan setup. We can take a quick look for it to it. So be the top one here, which basically contains, this is a lot of information. I recognize that you won't be able to follow everything, so I hope you listen to my beautiful voice. And exactly. So it's basically a plan that will be built once a month. Right, it's a monthly billing, and it contains two of our products. For one, the card attainment system we talked earlier, which will be built at 10 euros, and an additional add-on, for example, with €3.50. Next, we will go ahead and basically configure a commission for this car entertainment system. I would just call it commission for entertainment system. So we can go ahead and set it to commission. I will give it the exact same name. I will specify this being, for example, €3. That does not really matter all that much. And then here I can basically configure for which other product that we're offering will this commission actually work. I will select here the car entertainment system that we took a look earlier, select it, and then I can save it. So this is now the partner option configured. Next up, we will create a partner contract. Yes. Right. Commission plan. I'm not very creative today. We'll keep a similar billing schedule. We could also change it to day, quarter, yearly, and so on. So there's a lot of flexibility here. And then we will go ahead and add the commission option to this plan. So save here. Very good. Next up, we will need for the commission plan to create a contract actually. So we actually, this is not just the plan itself is just a template that you can then set multiple partners refer to it. And then I will go ahead and select just the sales partner, for example. I'll just go ahead and pretend that this contract has been going on for a long time. Because that's usually, of course, the first thing that you do. You deal with the partner, set up their contracts before you actually start with your customers. All right, perfect. Next up, we will then go to our pre-configured car entertainment system. And I will just select our dear Hans Müller. He will contain both of these options. I will actually go ahead and start in the past. It makes it a bit easier to demonstrate how it works. And here, basically down below, we have a related contract where we can then link them. Right. So I can select it. I can select here the sales partner for the commission plan that we just created. It is linked. I save this contract. And now we have a customer contract linked to a partner contract.
Very good.
Very good. So now I will go ahead and just immediately hit this button just for demo purposes, basically saying invoice immediately what needs to be invoiced. And we've started this contract in April, as you can see. So there was already something to be invoiced, and this also occurred immediately. So we can take a look at this document that has now been created. Basically, you see two different charges here, one time for the car entertainment and one time for the add-on. You might say, wait, that's not the same values that we've basically configured. The reason for this is that we do a proration, of course, right? So we started this contract in the middle of the month, so it will only get then prorated towards the customer.
But the option is also that you can take a full month even if you start in the middle, right? So
Exactly.
it's just
so
configuration.
this is part of the plan configuration. You can go ahead and say, okay, I've started on the 16th. Right. It will always then be invoiced on the 16th for the entire month. Then, of course, no proration will occur. Okay. Though then again, if you have even longer periods, you will come into a deferral of revenue situation, which we can also handle, of course. Okay, and then we can jump now basically to our plan contract and see what happened there, basically, right? We're now here at our contract for our sales partner, and we can here also find a billable item, which is basically our indication what will be billed in the future. And we can see here one time €1.40, which also doesn't exactly match as €3 for the exact same reason, right? You only provided for part of the month's service to your customer, so the partner will also only share in a portion of them. Right. So this is also then prorated, and then I can go ahead and pretend like it is the 1st of June. Because again, the way it's configured right now, right, at the end of the month, the sales partner will receive the invoice for all, or the self-billing invoice, apologies, for all the business that was basically done. This can be made daily and so on. So there are a lot of additional configuration possibilities. And then we can also see this document was then created, a self-billing invoice, which can then be issued to the partner. And then you can also go ahead, and we want to be demonstrating the payment part of it and so on. But then you can, of course, pay the partner the €1.67.
Right. So this is actually the credit note that we did generated. And based on that, the partner can then receive the money. So it will automatically translate that into a payment process, right?
Exactly. I mean, not necessarily. It depends as far as automation is concerned, especially when you're dealing with payouts. There will a lot of companies require then 4i confirmation stuff, right? So it's not just pay out anything to anyone because the
right. We have the topic, right? So, but it is then automatically translated. I mean, to the process and to the payout cycle.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Good. Good. And if we are already in this topic, I have a question before we then look at the audience and on the questions. But when it comes especially to the payout and the credit note, how do we make sure that we guarantee the transparency, the audit trail, and the compliancy within this process?
I mean, I could show even longer for the demo. But all these transactions in our system are of course linked, right? So if, for example, now also the end customer would cancel his contract, then for example, there would also be a cancellation for the self-billing portion then for the partner, right? So we have all this information in our system, what belongs to what. So we do have the possibility to trace it, which is a big advantage over how it's traditionally done, because you don't have these automated references between the ingoing and outgoing payments, invoices, documents, what have you. And having this all in the same system originating from the sales from the same point is hugely beneficial in our opinion.
That means we can also infuse and use individual references, because I've seen the IDs that are unique IDs, right? So we can also use those information to use the properties as a traceability and
of course. I mean, the data we have in our system need to come from somewhere, right? So we are not often the leading system, right? There will be a shop system and so on. But we, of course, offer these identifiers, right? So everything also that I've shown you, maybe should have mentioned this earlier, is available via API, right? So very primarily, we see ourselves more as a back office then that is neatly integrated into your general automated processes. And you can use these items then to keep track and basically ensure the consistency over multiple different software systems.
Which means we also deal with a high integration, right? So because when we talk about CRM, payment,
I would say less so than if you need an additional system that would need to deal with incoming invoices.
That is exactly the topic I wanted to hear. Good. Then, I think this is the last topic. And do we have any questions from the audience so far? If not, then I have a question about the change of partner constellations. So how easy and flexible is this to exchange the partner, to exchange or to modify also the plan? I mean, it's a dynamic environment, right? So plans and contracts are being changed.
The life cycle change of contract is indeed very, very complex. So we just recently released a different feature so that you can basically have automated price adaptations, for example. So you could link your contracts, for example, to an index so that you immediately, so the prices just increase automatically each year. We've seen it in the last few years with the big inflation spikes that we had, which especially for B2B enterprise customer, who usually offers contracts with a contract term of 5 years or more, right? So inflation can be a real issue for them. So we're offering features in this area. And of course, also then the change of a partner, right? So if you have, for example, for our car entertainment system, if you have a partner that provides the internet connection, for example, right? Today, it could be provider 1, and then maybe in 3 years, the business want to change it to provider 2, for example, but with a similar partner revenue sharing model, if you like. And of course, you need to be able to change this as well, and in our system as well.
Right. Good. Thank you very much. And I have a look in the question section. So far, nobody drops the question. There's in the chat. is there an option to create a percentage-based commission?
Right now, not. We started out with a flat fee, but enabling the percentage-based is the moment we have a case, the week after that we have this feature. So this is not a concern.
Yeah. So we can also deal with a percentage of that topic. Good. Very good. So any more questions? I think somebody is just typing here.
And maybe also to expand on this, right? So pricing is also a big component of our system, and to offer a lot of different ways to price it and also complex ways, right? So percentage is the next step of when you have a fixed cost and you have percentage. Later on, you might have actually tiered, right? So the sales partner might be receiving €1 per referred contract, but once he has more than 200, you might want to bump this up, right? You might want to get this more engaging, this process. So this is also something we have on our radar. Yeah. And the same thing goes to customers as well, of course, right? So many different complex ways to invoice and build a customer.
All right. Another question, how can I implement real multi-party billing for charging cases? I have one option for AC charging station, and if a customer charge at the AC charging station or of dealer X, how does the system knows that it needs to reimburse the commission to dealer X and not dealer Y? So
I need to read that. This was too complex for me.
So basically, what we have a charging situation, right? And the question is really if we have multiple dealers or charging point operators who are our partners, how do we know that this is actually the partner X? That is valid for the commission on a charging situation.
Yeah, I mean, we've shown you right now how it works for subscription. For usages, we would basically need a similar, or we will need a similar thing like the related contracts, but basically provide the information which is the correct partner within then the usage, for example, right? But I could also see this being a question of integration, or where's the data actually available? What is the correct, what the correct partner is for each charging station? This those thoughts right now. Yeah.
Okay, so it's also feasible that it is also location and relevant, so that we look for different locations.
I believe location. I'm just imagining like GPS coordinates and to find out who owns this GPS coordinate. Maybe sounds too complex in my mind, right? Because you would need to have the partner, of course, in our system, right? That would be charging operate CPO1, for example. You basically say, okay, this usage is the 10 kilowatt hours, whatever, but charged at this charging station, and this charging station belongs to the CPO1, for example. And then we would have the connection to say, okay, and if this is then invoiced to the customer, right, then we could then offer the commission to the charging point operator.
So basically, it's a rule-based.
Yes. Yeah, very heavily so.
Okay, good. So another question is for the recurring options, is there a one-to-one relationship between the option and the receiving partner? So that means if we have a regular basis, is there a direct relation?
Right now it's a direct relation. We also envision the possibility later to aggregate it potentially, which would then come in handy, of course, if you want to do the tiered prices for the partners as well, and also to make it more easy on the invoice to have it more aggregated essentially. However, we would also always require this traceability, right? So that you're aware, okay, this partner self-billing invoice that you just issued contain these 100 transactions for the end customers, and those are their contracts, and maybe those are the months where they might have been proration as well, so that it's easy then to trace.
So that means it could also be that one option is only eligible for one partner because the partner offers different.
Yeah, actually, in the I did not expand on it, but in the example that I showed you, there was an add-on component, for example, for the customer that was actually not self-built towards the partner because there was no commission option for this add-on, for example.
Right. Good.
So it can be very flexible there. Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Cool.
Good. Yeah. I don't see any new questions arriving. So yeah, then I would like to thank you very much for the interest. We really appreciate your participation in our webinar today. And yeah, we will invite you if you are interested in having more information about this topic. I mean, it's a quite complex topic, and yeah, have also prepared many of the steps in advance, because it's a very deep dive topic, very into the depth of the financial transactions. But we will invite you, if you have further questions, anytime, reach out to us. We are happy to demonstrate and dive deeper into the topic of multi-party billing with you. Also, if you have a dedicated use case, we can use that as a starting point and start more into precise discussion. And yeah, if you would like to learn more about the capabilities to streamline and skyrocketing scalability for your digital business, yeah, we're happy to invite you and to have more talks in depth with you. And looking forward to welcome you in our next webinars and events, and meet you maybe personally. And yeah, thank you very much. Have a great day. And we are happy to have you on board today. Wish you a great day and successful week, and looking forward to meet you soon. Thank you.
And best for me as well. Ciao.
Ciao.